Until this split, you had that internal competition between the brands, between Universal and Paramount. How did you deal with that?
It's very weird, and it sounds a bit like motherhood and apple pie, but UIP had been around for so long, and the great advantage of UIP was that they were not, it wasn't a joint venture in the sense that we were reporting to separate management. UIP had international management, and I often felt that that was the great, almost the saving grace of UIP that made it function as well as it did. We had management who were interested in maximising UIP's results. Now, and over 25 years, I can barely remember occasions where there were actually questions of why have you dated this Paramount film or this Universal film on a date when there is a better film from the other partner, because we really were colorblind when it actually came to dating the film. We just looked at the best date for the film, and dating is what distribution is about. Distribution is about many things, about marketing, about all kinds of contacts, but at its heart it is picking the right date for the film. And that was the obsession. You got the right date for the film, and if you happened to have an all Paramount lineup for one holiday, you knew intuitively that there'd be another holiday when it was an all Universal lineup. So that kind of comes down to is finding the best date for the film. So that's how UIP managed to do that. Now, of course, it will be a different process.
Let's turn to the relationship between distribution and exhibition, and how now as Paramount Pictures Australia, will you be able to change the relationship? What is the dynamic that exists? What is the business dealing situation? How has it changed? For somebody who's coming into the business at this end, in the distribution area, for example, or an exhibition, what can they expect? How does it work?
Essentially, it splits into the two sides. I mean, the two sides of the business, sales and marketing. The sales business around the world is a business of contacts, it's a business of experience, it's a business of trust and faith, ultimately. To put it bluntly, I mean, you can't shaft an exhibitor this week because you'll need him again next week. So, whilst there are always arguments, sales is about those long-term relationships, because distribution companies, particularly large distribution companies, who are week in, week out customers of the major chains. Many exhibition markets around the world are quasi-monopolies, duopolies, particularly as in Australia, where you have two groups. I mean, if you count Great Union and Village as one group, which essentially they are to all intents and purposes, and you add in Hoyts, you have two groups who have close to 70% of the mainstream exhibition market. So clearly you're dealing with very, very big players, and you have to deal with them in a reasonable manner and establish long-term relationships. So where you then come to the point of difference, which is marketing, and marketing is where all of the innovation happens. You have to be very much aware of new developments, new techniques, new ways of reaching the target market. We have a defined target market for each film, and we're one of the few industries in the world where you have absolutely no second chance. I mean, you can, if you're in music and you launch a new artist and it doesn't take, you can keep on going for 6 months, and then eventually it might take. If you open a film and on the Thursday nobody turns up, you just do not exist and you've blown it. So it's a very, very different way of actually approaching marketing. And I think that, but the split into those two areas categorizes the whole distribution business, everything that you do, that essentially you need to build your relationships with exhibition, and you have to be completely innovative and up to speed in your marketing. And that will partly be involved with exhibition or totally separate areas. I mean, that's a different thing.
But it is, and maybe I'll put this as a question, is Australia different in the way that the terms of the deals are struck between exhibition and distribution?
Not essentially. I mean, around the world, the theatrical business, in almost all markets, and with any major exhibition players, I mean, not small players, it's on a participation basis. And those percentages will vary from market to market, and the structure of the terms week by week will vary from market to market. But essentially it is a participation basis. Now, specifically here, if you're talking about Paramount, I think in the UIP split, there is an advantage to continuity, in that essentially Paramount Pictures Australia is the same company as UIP was. It's the same people, We have our relationships and deals in place. When you fragment, there is a danger that a new company coming in who is smaller will have to battle against the large exhibition companies who may try to leverage things in their advantage. Because Paramount has the same operation, the same deals in place, and the aspiration to be essentially as large as UIP was, whether we can get there, we don't know. At the moment, there are no particular changes. And I do think that at this point in time, one of the dangers, it's an ongoing danger, is that the theatrical, where you have a mature market, like Australia and the US, then if the pie isn't growing, the battle over the share of the pie becomes significantly harder, that we might kind of confuse ourselves by battling too hard over the share of the pie rather than just trying to actually grow the pie as much as we can jointly.
Do you see the power, if you like, shifting between distribution and exhibition on a sort of film by film basis, or is it really based on relationships?
It tends to cut both ways. I mean, it's a funny thing that people always talk about the distribution sector working together and the exhibition sector working together. But of course, essentially they are, I mean, our partners are the exhibition sector and our severest enemies are the other distributors. And that's really how the market works, because some people argue that if you have the big film of the moment, then you have all the power. And to a certain extent, that's true. I mean, if everybody wants to book one film from you, then you can, it's not you can extract better terms, but you are able to dominate the market and therefore make a great deal of money. I think that the balance of power generally tends to be with the exhibition community at the moment, unless it is incredibly fragmented, because it's very hard, even if you are a large distribution company, to actually exercise power in any significant way. Okay, I mean, you have a big film this week, but you don't have next week. So I tend to view the balance of power as being more with exhibition than with distribution, which is probably reflected from around the world the fact that they take a bigger chunk of the box office receipts.